going to do is we're going to have you, I was going to say each candidate. You got a 3-minute opening, each 2 minutes and 45 seconds. I'm just going to make an audible noise to let you know you're getting close to 3 minutes. We'll open the floor for Q&A for 30 minutes. And then close will be the same. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 45 seconds. I'll make an audible noise. 3 minutes, I'll let you know it's been 3 minutes. And then that's that. Okay. Anybody have any questions before we get rolling? Okay. Floor is yours, sir.
Preaching suicide. Preaching to the choir.
I want to say, firstly, thank you to the executive and everyone at 2251 for inviting me here today. My family has a long history with Algoma Steel, starting back to the Second World War, when my uncle Irwin, and we don't know if he was 13 or 14, he was known as Chum, Kluche, started working at Algoma Steel. He was the only boy that was at home. My mom's other 3 brothers were at the Second World War. My Uncle Bert, when he came back from the Second World War, had a lifelong career at Algoma Steel, Bert Kluche, and I was fortunate to grow up beside him on Pym Street. And he was the kindest, gentlest man, and unfortunately, both my uncles succumbed to cancer. And, that really impacted in my life, their positive influence and the labor movement. My own experience with labor started in the summer of 1988. As a university student, I worked at Bell Canada. And I started working, I think I was working for about 2 weeks, and then we went on strike. So I stayed with my union brothers and sisters on the picket line for those 10 weeks, and fortunately I also used to bartend at night, so I was still making money that summer. But it really made me understand the importance of unions, the importance of labor, and the importance of all of us, and the commitment of Algoma Steel and what they've done since 1901 in our community and making it a better place. There are, I think, 4 really main points about what I think workers need from their elected representative. You need your livelihoods protected. We need workers to be safe. We need to have healthy families and family supports for especially younger workers. The threat of tariffs combined with the electric arc furnace coming online is definitely going to affect the complement of workers in and around industry, and most specifically Algoma Steel. The NDP platform is saying that we will get everyone together, because that's what we need to do. We need to get the premiers together, we need to get all levels of government together, we need to get workers together, union leaders and industry executives to devise a plan. We need to look at diversifying our exports and diversifying our supply chain. We can't be reliant upon one country for all of that. And we need to listen to workers. What do they need? Especially in terms of those that may want to have retraining. And we need to connect retraining with where we're having gaps in our community. In the next 5 years, we're going to need to hire 30 more paramedics. So we need to actually connect where the workforce gaps are with those folks that might need retraining. We need workers to be safe. The current PC government in 2019 cut $11 million from the Ministry of Labor. That affects the number of inspectors that are available when there are workplace incidents to go inspect in a timely fashion so that reports can be done and workers can get the compensation that they need. We need policy changes to protect workers in all work sites. We need healthy families. In 1962, the Group Health Center was built by Steel, and 10,000 patients were de-rostered. My cousin Judy, who's here, 39 years working at the Group Health Center, she was one of those people that was de-rostered. Who showed up to help? The meeting at the Delta in March 2024 had 25 folks around from all aspects, union, labor. Who was there? Mart Stiles was there, our NDP leader. We need families being taken care of. I helped save the Y in my role at City Council. That would have been a loss of over 500 spots for daycares. Families need to be able to have affordable daycare, and we will continue that $10 daycare. And I want to thank you, and I will do my closing after Q&A.
Perfect. Okay, the floor is open for questions. Anybody has a question, please raise your hand. Stand up, speak clearly, and fire away. We're going to limit answers to 5 minutes, I'll say. I mean, we have 3 marked down, but since you're the only candidate, I think we can be a little bit flexible on
I'm
the
usually
time.
pretty concise.
Okay. So, the floor is open for questions. Fire away.
Tom Bunnell. In speaking about healthcare, the Group Health Center in Sault Ste. Marie, being part of the Group Health Center for many years, we did lobby the government over the years for the future, for doctors knowing what was coming. The current government, the government before it, never had a plan, or at least when it said they had a plan, they didn't have a plan in place to take care of what was going to take place in the future, which is now. You tell me what the NDP platform is, or policy is in regards to improving healthcare in the future.
Yeah, happy to do that. And on Monday, I met with the Ontario Medical Association President, Dr. Nowak, and we reviewed the NDP platform, and they were very much excited for it. So what's different with our party is the NDP has a northern specific platform. So we do have our overarching platform for all of Ontario, obviously, but we have a northern specific platform. And in that platform includes a northern command center for referrals and also for taking the red tape away from doctors, so that doctors aren't going to be spending so much time on administration, they can actually doctor. So say right now if a doctor can see 5 patients a day, by reducing that red tape and that administration, maybe they can see 8. And the OMA was very excited about that. We are committed to invest $4 billion over 4 years in terms of healthcare investment. And through that plan, through that Northern Command Center, is bringing in 300 physicians and healthcare workers into the north, specifically 250 primary care. We also want to lobby for change in terms of licensing foreign trained doctors. Currently, there are 13,000 foreign trained doctors that are not practicing, and we want to work with government and with licensing with the Ontario Medical Association so that we can get more doctors online. So that is, sort of the highlights of the platform. But I think what's really important is having that Northern Command Center for those referrals and for the administration. I think that's going to be a game changer in terms of healthcare delivery in the north. You're welcome.
Just a general question, were the other candidates invited? Did they decline or did they just not show up?
That would be a
Yeah.
question for
Yeah,
this.
every candidate was invited. The only person that responded was her.
So the others just did not respond to you and a yay and nay and nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, that's just interesting to know.
So on the same point for tomorrow, and I realize it's a different group that's hosting that. Will they be here? Does anybody know?
I don't even know I have no idea.
There's another session planned from 2 to 4 here tomorrow.
Do you know who's hosting that?
That's the retired
Two groups.
teachers, the Retired Teachers Association,
Yeah.
the National Federation of Retirees.
I don't know. USW.
I find it very disappointing that those other candidates are not here, especially considering, one's across the street. Tomorrow walk.
Maybe he's in Toronto.
Well, that shows a lack of commitment from them.
Any other questions?
Hi.
My name's Amanda. I'm getting a little emotional right now.
That's okay.
I'm here as a very, very concerned parent of a child with autism.
Yeah.
When the Conservatives took office, excuse my language, they turned it into a shit show. It was horrible. My child waited for 6 years on the wait list for services. Finally, 2 years ago, we were able to get services. But we had nowhere in Sault Ste. Marie to get services. We waited almost another year with, here's your money. What do we do with it? There's nothing there for us to do with it. So, finally got services. She's doing great. She's getting services now. She's in speech. We're seeing improvements. But it's horrible. what the Conservative government has done to families like us and the pressure that's been put on us to come up with these magical funds. Like, ABA therapy is $80,000 a year.
I know.
Me and my husband don't even make that combined. So there's no way for us to get those services without the help of the government. So I was really, really hoping that the other parties were here, because I really wanted to hear the answer. I want to hear your answer, but I really wanted to know what the Conservatives' plan was, because it's just been a nonstop revolving door of different ministers in that position that have promised and promised and promised and promised. It's just been promises and nothing has been fulfilled. There are now 70,000 kids in Ontario that are waiting on this wait list for therapies. So I guess from you, I just want to know where the NDP stands on this, and hopefully it's good. And my vote can go your way.
So what happened, just to give all of you an overview, autism services for children and youth changed, and it's now it was an independent intake organization. Organizations had to apply to be that. So the lead of that is actually an insurance-based company called Acerta. And instead of having the funding go directly to organizations like, say, Thrive, I was foundation chair there for a number of years, APH, families now get funds that they then use. But the problem is that in the north, and especially, I've got colleagues that are in, Kenora, Cochrane, Sioux Lookout, to get those services, whether it's speech language pathology, whether it's, getting a behavioral therapist, all of that sort of thing, it's near impossible. So when I'm MPP, I know this extremely well. I've been through this journey. My son is going to be 22 in March. I don't think government has ever done it properly. So we need to talk, there needs to be a groundswell of parents, because it affects the education system, it affects families, all of the above. So there is a plan in terms of education and identifying needs to make it more data-driven with the NDP plan, but this is something that I will push. Marit knows I'm going to push it, and I've had much FaceTime with Minister Parsa every time I'm in Toronto, and I actually got our CEO of Autism Ontario FaceTime with Parsa as well. And I'm going to continue to push that, because it still isn't working. And, try having an adult that, is very disconcerting as well. So Aiden did qualify for the Ontario Disability Grant to go to Sioux College, and I got a letter the other day saying that I owe $7,000. So there is no cure for autism, and he goes to Sioux College, but we've deemed that, we overpaid, but I don't know how. Anyway, it's a mess, and it affects families, and I know firsthand. And, that's why I started Grocer for Good, because there was no place for our kids to go to get jobs. So I'm there with you 100%.
Yeah, I hope that whoever ends up in power, that they just see that, like you said, there's no cure.
No.
The fact that we have to sit down every single year for a 4-hour meeting and get questioned on what our child is able to do and what our child's not able to do every single year. I feel like I'm sitting down and getting, can your child write your name? Can your child write a birth date? That's not my problem. I don't care if my child knows her birth date. I want my child to be a productive member of society and get the proper therapies that are needed, because it's a disability.
It is.
There should be no difference in my child getting therapy for her autism and then a child getting treated for a broken arm.
I agree.
It's the same thing.
I agree, and I will continue to advocate. And we were the first municipality to have the municipal autism strategy.
Right.
We were the first municipality in Canada. So, and that was an initiative I brought forth, because I found out that we had 2 physicians that were going to move here. This is when I was first elected in 2018 to City Council, that decided not to come here because they had a child that was neurodiverse, and they knew that they weren't going to be able to get the services here. So, you know, it affects more than just families. It also affects retention and attracting people to our community to work 100%. Yeah, thank you. And I'm glad your daughter's getting services. Yes.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the floor?
You've been my counselor downtown, like my city counselor, for 6 years now.
6.5.
6.5, yeah. And like I said, you've been great. You're quick to reply. You get things done. But you doing that for the past 6.5 years, how is that going to help you? Or what have you learned from that that you can bring forward to be our MVP?
Yeah. I've been fortunate that since I got elected, I've been part of all of the delegations. So there's two primary ones, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, which takes place in August of every year, and as well as the Rural Ontario Municipal Association, which is in January. I was just at that one. So I've already been in front of ministers. I've developed relationships. I understand, you know, how federal funding affects provincial funding, affects municipal funding. I've already been doing that governmental work for 6.5 years, and also in my not-for-profit career, always dealing with government and funding and policy change and all of that sort of thing. So I think my 6.5 years on council very much gives me the tools and the experience needed to represent Sault Ste. Marie at Queen's Park. Thank you.
Now, have you been able, like with the funding that you've received and gotten in, have you had to like look elsewhere to have people do that for you, or like do you do that yourself?
I do that myself. That's my expertise. Yeah.
Okay, somebody at the back. Yeah, sorry.
Lisa, this is a follow-up to this lady's point a little while ago about the failure of the other candidates to show up at any of these meetings. And I'm not expecting you to answer it, but I am asking the press, if the press is here and so on, why isn't this a discussion in our community? Why? How could all these candidates be invited specifically and not show up? Like, this is not democracy. This is not fair. I thank you, Lisa, for being brave and coming up. But it's putting a lot of weight on you, and it's not fair of them, right, to be invited and to decline. And we have a good crowd here. It's democracy. They wish to be elected. How could you possibly not come and present your platform? Of all the years I've lived in Sault Ste. Marie, and all the debates I've gone to, we've always had candidates on all parties reporting. This is the first time in my life that every candidates meeting that I've gone to, they've all declined to attend. And I don't know if you want to comment on Lisa. I welcome you to comment.
I can't comment on the actions of others. I can only comment on myself. I care about this community. I want to be a good leader. You need to be a good listener. And to be a good listener, you need to be around people and know what their needs are. And I will be present at all invitations during this campaign.
Thank you. I just have a comment. Your performance, your background speaks for itself. After the 10,000 people were de-rostered, I sent an email to Sylvia Jones, okay?
Health Minister.
And saying, what's happening with the meeting that Ross Romano is going to chair? She said, you're not a constituent of mine. Here's a phone number. I sent the same email to Ross, and as usual, no reply. So I think that tells you what we have for this government.
Well, I know that Marit Stiles, our leader, did meet with folks here at the Delta and also connected with Mr. DePratt at Queen's Park regarding the derostering. So that's the only comment I can confirm on that. Yeah. Okay.
Just telling you, that's what we're faced with.
Adam,
Yeah.
I'd just like to make a clarification. They didn't decline to attend, they didn't bother to answer.
That's what I said. We invited them all, and the only person that, we didn't even get a response. It's not that they declined it.
I can't understand.
Worse. Yeah, to not reply or to not come at all. Yeah, they're both bad.
So I'm Court Capel, I'm voice leader, not representing Scouts Canada. I'm wondering if you're aware of the NP that the surrounding area, Northern Fire Protection Program, the OFM's fire college was closed and subsequently employees dispersed. The OFM is having a little problem right now getting bunker gear for personnel with essentially no plan. They've conducted a review. That review is still ongoing and no word back yet on when or how they're going to do that, because the very same OFM brought out a 10-year deadline on equipment, trucks, and so forth. And so the city of Sault Ste. Marie is ringed by departments through a mutual aid agreement that are, quite frankly, struggling.
Okay, I didn't get the first part of your question. I didn't hear you well enough. I'm sorry.
The Sioux is ringed by volunteer fire departments that are supported through the NFPP program. Okay?
Okay, the Sioux and volunteer fire departments.
No, the Sioux is ringed, it's surrounded. You've got
Oh,
Prince,
okay, I'm sorry.
Okolay,
Okay.
Cooley, Searchlight, Hayden.
Yeah, Gooley.
Right?
Okay.
So, something big happens, mutual aid gets called, help's gotta come, right? They're struggling right now. Funding's not there, it hasn't moved since I can't tell you when. The OFM does not have the bunker gear right now, so if you pull something off the shelf, because you gotta send somebody to get service, you gotta replace it.
So
The
fire,
OFM has none.
yeah, so fire is a municipal responsibility
For cities that have it.
for cities that have it. So then I would need to get more information from you because I don't have the background on that to appropriately answer, other than that is a concern, obviously. We just had a fire on Woodward and we had someone perish. So that is a concern, and it's something that I'm more than happy to discuss and investigate when I can get better background information, for sure. Okay.
Anybody else? Fine. Anybody else got a question? We had this meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, saying none, we'll go on to closing statements.
I'm going to keep it really short. I have 3 sons, and I'm a very proud mother. And my youngest son, who's 20, and Michelle just thought that was beautiful, asked me if I was nervous. I said, yeah, I'm a little nervous, and you should be nervous, because being nervous is good. And he says, you know what, Mom? You're the one that cares the most. And that was it. So Owen is giving us the closing statement today. So thank you.